Okay, we're doing vertebrates. um, Vertebrates came from chordates, bilateral animals that belong to the clade of animals known as Deuterostoma. Stomia. Chordates comprise all vertebrates and two groups of invertebrates, the Urochordates and the Cephalochordates, or whatever that is. This is a phalangic tree or whatever that shows what different things have evolved to make the different branches of species. First, you start off with the heads and the vertebrae, columns, jaws, that kind of stuff, lungs. Derived characters of chordates. All chordates share a set of derived characters. Some species have all of these traits only during embryonic development. Four key characters are longitudinal and flexible rod between the digestive tube and the nerve cord called the notochord. It provides skeletal support throughout most of the length of the chordate. In most vertebrates, a more complex jointed skeleton develops, and the adult retains only the remnants of the embryonic notochord. Here's a picture of it in something scary looking. It's the light brown one in the middle. Dorsal, it's a hollow nerve cord. The nerve cord of a chordate embryo develops from a plate of ectoderm that rolls into a tube dorsal to the notochord. The nerve cord develops into the central nervous system, the brain, and the spinal cord. 3 is muscular, post-anal tail. Chordates have a tail posterior to the anus. In many species, the tail is greatly reduced during embryonic development. The tail contains skeletal elements and muscles. It provides propelling force in many aquatic species. And 4 is going to be in most chordates, grooves in the pharynx called the pharyngeal clefts develop into slits that open to the outside of the body. The function of these slits is suspension and feeding structures in many invertebrate chordates, gas exchange in vertebrates, except vertebrates with limbs, the pteropods. They develop into parts of the ear, head, and neck in pteropods. Lancelets are named for their blade-like shape. They are a marine suspension feeders that retain characteristics of the chordate body plan as adults. Larvae feed on plankton. Earliest living chordates apparently undergo metamorphosis. And a bunch of pictures of all this stuff. Tunicates are more closely related to the chordates than are lancelets. Tunicates most resemble chordates during their larval stage, which may last only a few minutes. As an adult, tunicates draw in water through an incurrent siphon, filtering food particles. When attacked, tunicates or sea squids or squirts shoot water through their excurrent siphon. Creepy. Tunicates are highly derived and have fewer Hox genes than other vertebrates. And then here's some pictures. Early chordate evolution. Ancestral chordates may have resembled lancelets. The same Hox genes that organize the vertebrate brain are expressed in the lancelet's simple nerve cord tips. Genome sequencing suggests that genes associated with the heart and the thyroid are common in all chordates. Genes associated with the transmission of nerve impulses are unique to vertebrates, though. So, carninates are chordates that have a head. The origin of the head enabled chordates to coordinate more complex movement and feeding behavior. Carninates share some characteristics like a skull, brain, eyes, and other sensory organs. Carninates have 2 clusters of Hox genes. Lancelets and tunicates only have 1 cluster. One feature unique to carninates is neural crest. It's a collection of cells near the dorsal margins of the closing neural tube in an embryo. Neural crest cells give rise to the variety of structures, including some of the bones and cartilage of the skull. And then here's a picture of how all that stuff is made and formed. In aquatic carnates, the pharyngeal clefts evolved into gill slits. Carnates have a higher metabolism and are more muscular than tunicates and lancelets. Carninates have a heart with at least 2 chambers, red blood cells with hemoglobin, and kidneys. Hagfish, the most basal group of carninates is Myzini, the hagfishes. Hagfishes have a cartilaginous skull and an axial rod of cartilage derived from the notochord, but lack the jaw and the vertebrae. They have a small brain, eyes, ears, tooth-like formation. Hagfish are marine. Most are bottom-dwelling scavengers. And here's a pretty one. Vertebrates are carnates that have backbones. During the Cambrian period, a lineage of carnates evolved into 2 vertebrates. The vertebrates became more efficient at capturing food and avoiding being eaten. Vertebrates underwent a second gene duplication involving the... I don't even know how to say that without sounding absurd. The DIX family of transcription factors. Vertebrates have the following derived character. Vertebrae is enclosed in a spinal cord, an elaborated skull? Wow, hilarious. Elaborate skull, thin rays in the aquatic forms. All right, lampreys represent the oldest living lineage of vertebrates. Most are parasitic, penetrating fish skin to ingest blood. They are jawless vertebrates that feed by clamping their mouth onto the living fish. They inhabit various marines and freshwater habitats. Larvae are a suspension feeder. They have cartilaginous segments surrounding their notochord and arching partly over their nerve cord. Skeleton made of cartilage. Isn't it pretty? Conodonts were the first vertebrates with mineralized skeleton elements in their mouth and pharynx. Their fossilized dental elements are common in fossil records. They use them for predation or savaging. Other armored jawless vertebrates had defensive plates of bones on their skin. They became extinct after the Devian period. And there's just a picture of what their scary teeth look like, or dental elements look like. Mineralization appeared to have originated with vertebrate mouthparts. Vertebrates endoskeleton became fully mineralized much later. They were relatively late in the history of vertebrates. One hypothesis is that mineralization was associated with transition in feeding mechanisms. It was an adaptation that allowed animals to become scavengers and predators. Today, jawed vertebrates, or gnathostomes, outnumber jawless vertebrates. Gnathostomes include sharks and their relatives, rayfish or ray-finned fish, lobe-finned fish, amphibians, reptiles, including birds, and mammals. Derived characters of gnathostomes. Gnathostomes have a jaw that might have evolved from a skeletal support or skeletal rod of their pharyngeal slits. And they're just showing how the mouth would have evolved over generations. Other characters common to gnathostomes, genome duplication, including duplication of Hox genes, an enlarged forebrain associated with the enhanced smell and vision. In aquatic gnathostomes, the lateral line system, which is sensitive to vibrations. Creepy. Here's a picture of a fossil. I cannot remember how to say this one. Yes, that one. Crotorrhynchithes have a skeletal composed primarily of cartilage. The largest and most diverse group of Crotorrhynchithes include the shark, rays, and the skates. Some of the biggest and most successful vertebrate predators in the ocean. The second subclass is composed of a few dozen species of ratfishes. And here's just some pictures of some ratfish and stingrays and sharkies. Sharks have a streamlined body that are swift swimmers. The largest sharks are suspension feeders, but most are carnivores. Sharks have a short digestive tract, a ridge called the spinal valve to increase the digestive surface area. Sharks have acute senses, including sight, smell, and the ability to detect electrical fields from a nearby animal. Creepy. Shark eggs are fertilized internally, but embryos can develop in different ways. Oviporous eggs hatch outside the mother's body. Ovovivioporous. Embryo develops within the uterus and is nourished by the egg yolk. Viviporous. The embryo develops within the uterus and is nourished through the yolk sac placenta from the mother's blood. The reproductive tract, excretory system, and digestive tract empty into the common colicia. Maybe. The vast majority of vertebrates belong to a clade of gnathostomes called osteothetes. Nearly all living osteothetes have a bony endoskeleton. Osteothetes include the bony fish and pteropods. Aquatic osteothetes are vertebrates. We informally call them fishes. Most fish breathe by drawing water over their gills, protected by a operculum. The fish control their buoyancy with an air sac known as the swim bladder. Fish have a lateral line system. Most species are oviporous, but some have the internal fertilization and birthing. And here's a diagram of all the fishy parts. Actinopetrigi, the ray fin fish, includes nearly all of the familiar aquatic osteothenes. Ray fin fish originated during the Silurian period, 440 to 44 to 416 million years ago. The fins supported mainly by a long, flexible rays and are modified for maneuvering, defense, and other functions. And here's some pictures of some pretty fishies. All right, the lobe fins, Sacropterygii, have muscular, pelvic, and pectoral fins. They're buff. Lobe fins also originated in the Silurian period. There's a fossil. 3 lineages survived, including coelacanths, lungfishes, and tetrapods. The coelacanths were thought to have become extinct 75 million years ago, but a living coelacanth was caught off the coast of South Africa in 1938. It's a big fish. One of the most significant events in vertebrate history was when the fins of some lobefish fins evolved into limbs and feet of tetrapods. Tetrapods have some specific adaptations. We have 4 limbs, feet with digits, a neck which allows separate movement of the head, fusion of the pelvic girdle to the backbone, the absence of gills, except in some aquatic species, ears for detecting airborne sounds. Tiktaalik, named for a fishapod, shows both fish and tetrapod characteristics. It had fins, gills, lungs, scales, ribs to breathe air and support its body, a neck, fins with bone patterns of a tetrapod limb. Creepy. And here is a fossil. Tiktaalik could most likely prop itself on its fins but not walk. The first tetrapod appeared 365 million years ago. And here's another chart to show the evolutions. Amphibians, a class of amphibia, are represented by about 6,150 species. Order Eudella includes salamanders, which have tails. Here's some pictures. Amphibians means both ways of life, referring to the metamorphosis of an aquatic larva into a terrestrial adult. Most amphibians have moist skin that complements the lungs and gas exchange. Fertilization is external in most species, and the eggs require moist environment. In some species, males or females care for the eggs on their back, in their mouth, or in their stomach. And here's some pictures of it. Oh, it's so cute. Amphibian populations have been declining in recent decades. The causes include a disease causing chytrid fungus, habitat loss, climate change, and pollution. Amniotes are a group of pteropods whose living members are the reptiles, including birds and mammals. And here's a tree. Oops. Amniotes are named for the major derived character of their clade, the amniotic egg, which contains a membrane that protects the embryo. And extra amniotic membranes are the amnion amnion, and chorion, yolk sac, and allantois. And here's a picture of all that beautiful stuff. Creepy looking. Amniotic eggs of the most reptiles and some mammals have a shell. Amniotes have other terrestrial adaptations such as relatively impermeable skin and the ability to use their rib cage or to ventilate their lungs. Living amphibians and amniotes split from common ancestor about 350 million years ago. The earliest amniotes were more tolerant of dry conditions than earlier tetrapods. The earliest amniotes were a small predator with sharp teeth and a long jaw. Yeah, it looks cute. Reptiles. The reptile clade includes tartaros, lizards, snakes, turtles, crocodilians, birds, and the extinct dinosaurs. Reptiles have scales that create a waterproof barrier. Most reptiles lay shelled eggs on land. Most reptiles are ectothermic, absorbing external heat as the main source of their body heat. Birds are endothermic, capable of keeping the body warm through metabolism. The oldest reptilian fossil dated to the Carboniferous period. The first major group to emerge were parareptiles, which were mostly large, stocky, quadrupedal herbivores. As a parareptile were dwindling, the diapsids were diversifying. Diapsids consisted of two main lineages, the Lepidosaurs and the Archosaurs. The Lepidosaurs include Taterias, lizards, snakes, and extinct mosasaurs. The Archosaurs lineage produced the crocodilians, pterosaurs, and the dinosaurs. Pterosaurs were the first pteropods to exhibit flight. The dinosaurs diversified into a vast range of shapes and sizes. They included bipedal carnivores called theropods, the group from which the birds are descended. Debate continues on whether the dinosaurs were endothermic or ectothermic. The discoveries and research have led to the conclusion that many dinosaurs were agile and fast-moving. Paleontologists have also discovered signs of parental care among dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, with the exceptions of birds, became extinct by the end of the Cretaceous period. Their extinction may have been partly caused by an asteroid. One surviving lineage of the Lepidosaurs is represented by two species of lizard-like reptiles called the Tartarus, something like that, which they have one on this page, or picture at the very top. Pretty things. The other living lineage of Lepidosaurs consists of squamats, the lizards, and snakes. Lizards are the most numerous and diverse reptile apart from the birds. There's a thorny devil lizard right there. The snakes are legless lepidosaurs that evolved from lizards. Snakes are carnivorous. Some also are venomous. Oh, it's so cute. All turtles have a box-like shell made of upper and lower shields that are fused to the vertebrae, clavicles, and ribs. Some turtles have adapted to the desert, and others live entirely in ponds and rivers. And there's a picture of a turtle. Crocodilians, alligators and crocodiles, belong to the Archaeosaurus or saur lineage that dates back to the late Triassic. Just want to pet it. Birds are archosaurs, but almost every feature of their reptilian anatomy has undergone modification in their own adaptation to flight. Characteristics of birds. Many characters of birds are adaptations that facilitate flight. The major adaptation is wings that, with keratin feathers, the flight enhances hunting and scavenging, escaping from terrestrial predators, and migration, well-developed vision, and sensory. Flight requires a great expenditure of energy, acute vision, and fine muscle control. Other adaptations include lack of urinary bladder, females with only one ovary, some small gonads, and loss of teeth. And then here's just a picture of their bones and wings. The origin of birds. Birds probably descended from a small theropod, a group of carnivorous dinosaurs. Early feathers might have evolved for insulation, camouflage, and courtship display. Early feathers might have helped dinosaurs gain lift when they jumped, gain traction when running up a hill, and glide from trees. By 150 million years ago, feathered theropods had evolved into birds. Archaeopteryx remained the oldest bird known. Creeps me out every time I see the picture of it. Living birds belong to the clade Neorniths. Several groups of birds are flightless. The ratites are order the Strontiumniformes. Penguins are order of Speciosoforms. Certain species of rails, ducks, and pigeons. I don't know what a rail is, though. There's a picture of a bird of some sort. Scary looking. Demands of flight have rendered the general body form of many flying birds similar to one another. And there's a penguin. All the birdies. Mammals are amniotes that have hair and produce milk. Mammals, class of Mammalia, are represented by more than 5,300 species. Mammals have mammary glands, which produce milk, hair, a high metabolic rate due to endothermy, a larger brain that other vertebrates of larger brains than other vertebrates of equivalent size, and differentiated teeth. Mammals evolved from a synapsids. Two bones that formerly made up a jaw joint were incorporated into the mammalian middle ear. And there's a diagram of all this right here, how it shifted up, or the two shifted up and became here. I don't have a pointer. By the early Cretaceous, the three living lineages of mammals emerged: monotremes, marsupials, and eutherians. Mammals did not undergo a significant adaptation radiation until after the Cretaceous. Monotremes were a small group of egg-laying mammals consisting of echidnas and the platypus. Oh, that's so cute. Marsupials include possums, kangaroos, and koalas. The embryo develops within the placenta in the mother's uterus. The marsupial is born very early in its development, and it completes its embryonic development while nursing on maternal pouch called the marsupium. Gross. And there's the baby, sucking on the teat. In some species, such as bandicoot, the marsupium opens to the rear of the mother's body. In Australia, convergent evolution has resulted in a diversity of marsupials that resembles the eutherians of other parts of the world. And here's just a quick overview of those, comparing the two. Eutherians, compared with marsupials, eutherians have a more complex placenta. Young eutherians complete their embryonic development within the uterus, joined to the mother by the placenta. Molecular and morphological data give conflicting dates on the diversification of eutherians. And here's a tree just to show us a theory. And here is showing just a bunch of different characteristics of different mammals. Mammalian order primates includes lemurs, pterosaurs, monkeys, and apes. Humans are members of the ape group. Most primates have hands and feet adapted for grasping and flat nails. Other characteristics are a large brain and short jaw, forward-looking eyes close together on the face, providing depth perception, complex social behavior and parental care, a fully opposable thumb, in monkeys and apes, that is. Living primates, there are only three main groups of living primates: lemurs, lorises, and potos, pterosaurs, and arthropods, monkeys and apes. And here's some pictures. The oldest known arthropod fossils, about 45 million years old, indicates that pterosaurs are more closely related to arthropods than lemurs, or lemurs. Yeah. And then here's another tree showing how we're all related. The first monkeys evolved in the Old World, so Africa and Asia. In the New World, South America, monkeys first appeared roughly 25 million years ago. New and Old World monkeys underwent separate adaptation or adaptive radiations during their many millions of years of separation. They show you pictures of the New World monkeys and the Old World monkeys, so you can compare them. Other groups of arthropods consist of primates, informally called apes. The group includes gibbons, orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos, and humans. Apes diverged from Old World monkeys about 20 to 25 million years ago. And here's some pictures of all those things, besides humans. Humans are mammals that have a large brain and bipedal locomotion. The species Homo sapiens is about 200,000 years old, which is very young considering the life that has existed on Earth for nearly 3.5 billion years. The number of characters distinguish humans from other apes. We have upright posture and bipedal locomotion. We have larger brains capable of language, symbolic thought, artistic expression, and manufacture, and the use of complex tools. Reduced jawbone and a jaw muscle, and shorter digestive tract. The human and chimpanzee genome are 99% identical. Changes in regulatory genes have a large effect. Study of human origin is known as paleoarchaeopology. Hominins, formerly called hominids, are more closely related to humans than chimpanzees. Paleoarchaeopologists have discovered fossils of about 20 species of extinct human hominins. And here's some of those to show you how we're all related and how old they are. Hominins originated in Africa about 6 to 7 million years ago. Early hominins showed evidence of small brains and increasing bipedalism. And here's a picture of a fossil. Misconception is early hominins were chimpanzees. hominins and chimpanzees shared a common ancestor, so they're definitely not the same thing. Human evolution is like a ladder leading directly to Homo sapiens. Hominin evolution included many branches or coexisting species through only humans surviving today. Australopiths are paraphyletic assemblage of hominin living between 4 and 2 million years ago. Some species, such as Australopithecus walked fully erect. And here's some pictures of it. It's actually in that video we watched. Was that Lucy, or is that a different?
We're getting close to Lucy.
Getting close to Lucy? Okay. Robust Australopiths had sturdy skulls and powerful jaws. Grace, that's what it was. Glacial Australopiths were more slender and had lighter jaws. Hominins began to walk long distances on two legs about 1.9 million years ago. The oldest evidence of tool use, cut marks on an animal bones, is about 2.5 million years old. The earliest fossils placed in our genus Homo are those of Homo habilis, ranging in ages from 2.4 to 1.6 million years ago. Stone tools have been found with Homo habilis, given this species its name, which means handyman. Homo ergaster, what was it? Homo ergaster was the first fully bipedal, large-brained hominid. The species existed between 1.9 and 1.5 billion years ago. The Homo ergaster, the Homo ergaster showed a significant decrease in sexual dimorphism, a size difference between sexes, and compared with its ancestors. Homo ergaster fossils were previously assigned to Homo erectus. Most paleoarchaeologists now recognize these as separate species. There's a skeleton or fossil. Homo erectus originated in Africa about 1.8 million years ago. It was the first hominid to leave Africa. Neanderthals, Homo neanderthalism, lived in Europe and the Near East from 350,000 to 28,000 years ago. They were thick-boned with large brains. They buried their dead and they made hunting tools. The debate is ongoing on about the extent in which the genetic material was exchanged between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. This is just an experiment they did, sorry. Homo sapiens appeared in Africa about 195,000 years ago. All living humans are descended from these African ancestors. The oldest fossils of Homo sapiens outside of Africa date back to 115,000 years ago, and they are from the Middle East. Humans first arrived in the New World sometime before 15,000 years ago. In 2004, 18,000-year-old fossils were found in Indonesia, and a new small hominin was named Homo floresiensis. Homo sapiens were the first group to show evidence of symbolic and sophisticated thought. In 2002, a 77,000-year-old artistic carving was found in South Africa. Bet that's worth a pretty penny. Or not. Here's a picture. And then here's just another map of showing how we're all related. And that's all. The end.
So, a lot of information.